Welcome to G Fun Facts Online, the show that dives deep into the fascinating corners of our world. Today, we're logging on to explore a place we all spend time in, but might not fully understand: the internet. Specifically, we're asking, why do we act so differently online? Why does a simple comment section so often descend into chaos? It turns out, there's a whole field of psychology dedicated to our digital lives, and the answers are pretty revealing. Let's start with the cornerstone concept, the online disinhibition effect. It's a fancy term for a simple idea. Online, we lose a lot of the restraint we have in face-to-face conversations. The screen acts like a mask, giving us a sense of anonymity and distance. This isn't always a bad thing. This is what's called benign disinhibition. It can empower people to be more open, to share personal struggles, and find support in communities they wouldn't have access to otherwise. It can give people the courage to be their most authentic selves. But there's a dark side, which I am sure we've all seen. This is toxic disinhibition. The same anonymity that fosters bravery can also unleash cruelty. Trolling, cyberbullying, hate speech. This is the result of people feeling detached from the real-world consequences of their words. It's easier to be hurtful when you don't see the immediate emotional impact on the person you're talking to. So why does this happen? Psychologists point to 6 key factors. There's dissociative anonymity, where your online persona feels separate from your real-world self. There's invisibility, since nobody can see your face or body language. There's asynchronicity, the delay in online chat that lets you fire off a comment without dealing with an instant reaction. We also project a voice onto the text we read, which can feel like we're just talking to ourselves. The internet can also feel like a fantasy game, separate from reality, where real-world rules don't apply. And finally, online, status and authority often disappear, creating a more chaotic environment. It's not just the environment, though. Our own brains play tricks on us online, thanks to things called cognitive biases. These are mental shortcuts that help us process information, but they can be seriously flawed. The biggest one online is confirmation bias. This is our tendency to look for and believe information that already confirms what we think. Social media algorithms are experts at this, feeding us a constant diet of what we want to see, creating echo chambers where our own views are reflected back at us, stronger than ever. Then there's the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people with very little knowledge on a subject overestimate their expertise. We've all seen it. Someone watches one 10-minute video and suddenly thinks they're a leading expert, confidently spreading misinformation. Add in the availability heuristic, where we think viral videos and catchy headlines are more important than they are, just because we see them so often. And finally, the false consensus effect, where being in an online tribe of like-minded people makes us overestimate how many others actually agree with us. These biases create the perfect storm for online tribes and echo chambers. Finding your tribe online can feel great, giving you a sense of belonging. But it can also create an us versus them mentality. Within these bubbles, misinformation that appeals to the group's emotions and biases can spread like wildfire. This can also fuel cancel culture, a kind of modern-day public shaming. While it can be a tool for accountability, it can also become a form of mob justice, lacking nuance and fairness. All of this has a real emotional impact. Without facial expressions or tone of voice, jokes and sarcasm get lost in translation, leading to huge misunderstandings. And the constant connection can be draining. We suffer from information overload, which causes anxiety and stress. We see the curated, perfect lives on social media and fall into the trap of social comparison, which can damage our self-esteem and mental health. For some, it can even escalate into a full-blown internet addiction, with studies showing it can actually change brain activity. So it all sounds a bit bleak, but it doesn't have to be. Understanding the psychology of why we act this way online is the first step to making things better. We can actively work towards a healthier online world. First, Promote digital literacy. Learn about these biases and how misinformation spreads. Second, encourage empathy. Remember, there is a real human on the other side of the screen. Third, practice mindful technology use. Set boundaries, curate your feeds for positivity, and make sure to log off and have real, face-to-face interactions. And finally, and most importantly, foster critical thinking. Question what you read. Seek out different perspectives, and be willing to change your mind. The internet is one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever created. By understanding the psychology behind our online behavior, we can learn to use it more wisely, creating a digital space that is more civil, more empathetic, and ultimately more human. That's all for this episode of Fun Facts Online. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for another deep dive into the world around us.